The first time my lips touched his enemy's mouth, I could feel the fire of revenge flooding through me, hotter than lust, sharper than guilt. I did not kiss him for love. I did not kiss him for pleasure. I kissed him for destruction, because I wanted to watch my man's heart split open the way he split mine. Hello, my dear audience. Before I take you deep into this storm of betrayal, I want to thank you for being here with me. Your time means everything, and the way you engage with my stories keeps me going. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Trust me, you are going to need to let it out after this one. I never believed I could be the kind of woman who would cross the line so recklessly. My name is Amanda, and I grew up in the suburbs of Ohio, where people worshipped marriage, loyalty, and reputation like they were sacred gods. I had been faithful for years. Faithful to a man who, as it turned out, was not only unworthy of me but was already betraying me in the shadows. His name was Jason. He was tall, smooth-talking, with the kind of charm that fooled even the most suspicious hearts. For 6 years, he had been my anchor. Or so I thought. I gave him everything, my youth, my trust, my body, my dreams of a future that carried both our names. I imagined a house with a white porch, maybe 2 kids, and the sound of laughter filling the air on Sunday mornings. But Jason gave me lies. The truth arrived in whispers. A friend of mine saw him at a bar with another woman, blonde hair, tight red dress, the kind of woman Jason always claimed he never noticed. At first, I brushed it off, because blind love has a way of convincing you that betrayal is impossible. But then I checked his phone one night while he showered. My heart nearly stopped. The messages were not vague or innocent. They were filthy, intimate, and cruel. They were full of words he had never said to me in 6 years, yet he had spilled them so easily to her. I read and reread every sentence until my hands trembled and my body collapsed on the cold tiles of the bathroom floor. Jason was not just unfaithful. He was careless with my soul. That night I stared at him while he slept. He looked so peaceful, so undeserving of the storm inside me. Something snapped. I did not want to beg, cry, or throw myself at his feet like a broken doll. I wanted to break him the way he broke me. And that was when the idea came, the most dangerous idea of my life. Jason had one enemy. His name was Derek. They had been friends once, back in college. But betrayal ran deep between them too. Jason stole a business deal out from under Derek's nose years ago, making Derek lose money, reputation, and trust in the same breath. From then on, they despised each other. The more I thought about it, the more perfect it seemed. Derek was handsome, older than Jason, with sharp gray eyes that missed nothing. If I wanted revenge, if I wanted to crush Jason in a way he would never recover from, Derek was the weapon. I will never forget the first night I called him. My voice shook as I explained who I was. He was silent for a long moment before he spoke, his voice deep and smooth. So Jason finally slipped up, Derek said. I always knew he would. And now his girl calls me. Interesting. I swallowed my shame. I just need to meet you. Just once. To talk. Derek laughed softly, and it sent shivers down my spine. Talk, Amanda. I do not think you want to talk. But I will play along. We met at a dim bar on the outskirts of town. I remember every detail, the smoky air, the low music, the way Derek's eyes pinned me like I was already his secret. He listened as I told him everything, my pain spilling like blood from an open wound. He never interrupted. He just studied me, sipping his whiskey, until his mouth curved into a slow, dangerous smile. You want revenge, he said flatly. Yes, I admitted, my throat dry. And you want to use me to get it? I hesitated, but nodded. His hand reached across the table, fingers brushing mine. Then do not waste time, Amanda. The only kiss worth giving is the one you should never give. The words pierced me. And that was when it happened. I leaned across the table and pressed my lips to his. It was not gentle. It was raw, heated, dripping with fury. My entire body trembled with the force of it. I could almost see Jason's face shattering in my mind as Derek's tongue slid against mine. It was intoxicating, maddening, and so wrong that it felt like the only thing I could do to breathe again. I pulled back, breathless, ashamed, yet burning with something I had never felt before. Derek smirked. I think we just started a war. The kiss should have been enough. It should have been the end. But revenge is a fire that never stops at the first spark. I could not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I remembered the taste of Derek, the thrill of betrayal reversed. I imagined Jason's face if he ever found out, and it twisted into a sick form of satisfaction. For the first time since discovering his affair, I felt power. But power is dangerous. It drags you deeper, and deeper, until you no longer recognize yourself. And I was already slipping. The next morning Jason kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. The scent of his cologne used to make me weak. Now it made me sick. I smiled at him anyway, because I was already wearing a mask. He had no idea that another man's lips had been on mine. No idea that I was plotting a revenge so twisted it could tear us all apart. But Derek knew. Derek always knew. He texted me later that day, "You tasted like fire. When do I get more?" My heart raced. I should have deleted the message. I should have walked away. But instead, I typed back, "Soon." That word, soon, was the beginning of my unraveling. Because what started as a kiss for revenge was about to become something darker, something hungrier. And once the line was crossed, there was no going back. The kiss should have been a secret I buried in the shadows, but Derek did not allow shadows. He pulled me into the light of my own darkness, and once I was in his orbit, I could not pull away. Days passed, but Derek's message replayed in my head like an echo. "You tasted like fire. When do I get more?" I tried to silence it, but every time Jason's lips brushed mine, all I could think of was Derek's kiss, rough, unapologetic, forbidden. Jason's love felt routine. Derek's touch felt like rebellion. One Thursday evening, when Jason claimed he had to work late, I drove to Derek's apartment. My palms sweated on the steering wheel the whole way, my heart pounding with both fear and excitement. I told myself this was just one more meeting, one more act of revenge before I let it die. But the moment Derek opened the door, that lie collapsed. He leaned against the frame, shirt unbuttoned at the top, chest peeking through. His eyes trailed over me like I was already undressed. "I knew you would come," he said. I stepped inside. The apartment smelled of leather, whiskey, and something distinctly male. Every inch of me screamed to turn back, but Derek was gravity and I was already falling. "I should not be here," I whispered. "But you are," he replied, closing the door. "And that is all that matters." His hand cupped my cheek, rough but steady. I should have slapped him. Instead, I leaned into his touch. He kissed me again, deeper than before, and my knees almost buckled. It was not love. It was punishment, punishment for Jason, and maybe for myself too. We stumbled to his couch, our mouths locked in battle. His fingers slipped under my blouse, tracing my skin like he owned it. I gasped, torn between guilt and hunger. Every time I moaned, I imagined Jason's face if he knew. The thought made me shiver harder. "Tell me why you are here," Derek murmured against my neck. "For revenge," I confessed breathlessly. "And do you regret it?" I paused. My lips brushed his ear as I whispered, "Not yet." Afterward, I sat on his couch, pulling my clothes back together, my body still trembling. Derek lit a cigarette and leaned back, watching me. "You think this is about Jason," he said. "But this is about you, Amanda. You are not his victim anymore. You are taking what you want." I shook my head. This was supposed to be one kiss. Just one kiss. He smirked. One kiss is never enough. I hated him for being right. When I returned home that night, Jason was already there. He sat at the kitchen table, flipping through mail, looking like the man I had once dreamed of marrying. He smiled when he saw me. "Where were you?" I called. My heart pounded. "I went for a drive. Needed some air." He studied me for a moment too long, his blue eyes narrowing just slightly. "Everything okay?" Of course, I lied, kissing his forehead quickly before retreating to the bedroom. But Jason was not a fool. And I knew it was only a matter of time before the cracks began to show. The next few weeks became a dangerous dance. By day, I played the perfect partner, laughing at Jason's jokes, cooking dinner, pretending my heart was still his. By night, I lost myself in Derek's arms, feeding a hunger I did not even know I had. It was reckless. It was intoxicating. And it was getting harder to hide. Jason started asking questions. He noticed when I wore new lingerie. He noticed when I stayed out too late. He noticed when my phone buzzed and I tilted the screen away. One evening, as I folded laundry, he leaned in the doorway, arms crossed. "You seem different lately." "Different how?" I asked, forcing calm. He shrugged. "Distracted. Distant. Like your mind is somewhere else." My hands shook slightly, but I kept folding. "I have just been stressed." Jason stepped closer, his voice lower. "Amanda, if something is going on, I need to know." For a heartbeat, I almost confessed everything. I almost told him that his betrayal had birthed my own, that I had kissed his enemy and gone even further. But then I remembered the messages on his phone, the lies he had fed me, the nights he claimed to work late while another woman wore my place in his arms. So I lied again. "There is nothing going on." But Jason's suspicion only grew. And Derek did not make it easier. He wanted more. He wanted to flaunt what we had, to dig the knife deeper. One night as we lay tangled in his sheets, he whispered, "You should let him find out." Imagine his face, Amanda. Imagine his pride shattering. I turned to him, breathless, but also terrified. If Jason finds out, this will not just hurt him. It will destroy everything. "Good," Derek said simply, his smirk curling like smoke. That was when I realized Derek was not just helping me with revenge. He was using me for his own. He wanted to ruin Jason, and I was the perfect weapon. The thought should have scared me. But instead, it thrilled me. One Friday night, Jason suggested dinner at a local steakhouse. I agreed, eager to play normal. But as we sat across from each other, sipping wine, my phone buzzed in my purse. I knew it was Derek before I even looked. Jason's eyes flicked to the movement. "Who is that?" "Just a friend," I replied too quickly. His jaw tightened. "Which friend?" I hesitated. "It is not important." He set down his fork, staring at me like he could see through my skin. "Amanda, are you hiding something from me?" The air between us thickened, the silence louder than any scream. My chest tightened as my phone buzzed again, vibrating like a guilty heartbeat. Jason's hand stretched across the table, palm open. "Then show me." "Show me your phone." Jason's hand weighted across the table, steady and demanding. "Show me your phone," he repeated, his voice low but edged with steel. My stomach churned. The room suddenly felt suffocating, every pair of eyes in that restaurant burning into my skin, even though none of them knew. My purse sat heavy on my lap, Derek's messages still glowing like landmines waiting to explode. I forced a smile. "Jason, you are overreacting." "Then prove it," he snapped, his patience fraying. "If there is nothing to hide, give me your phone." The silence between us stretched. I could hear the clinking of cutlery from other tables, the muted hum of conversation, but to me, it all blurred into a haze. Jason's eyes were locked on mine, searching, accusing. My chest rose and fell too fast. "I do not owe you proof." His expression hardened. "Maybe not. But when you start hiding things, Amanda, it says more than words ever could. The rest of dinner was nothing but tension. We barely touched our food. He paid quickly, and the ride home was cold and heavy. My phone buzzed twice in my purse. I did not dare look. At home, Jason went straight to the living room. He poured himself a glass of whiskey and sat in silence, staring at the wall. I stood in the doorway, heart hammering, sweat sliding down my back. Finally, he spoke without turning. "Who is he?" The question cut like a blade. I froze. Jason set down the glass, turning slowly to face me. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Do not lie to me. I can feel it. There is someone else." I wanted to deny it. I wanted to scream that he had no right to accuse me when he had already betrayed me first. But the truth was a wildfire inside me, begging to be released. I whispered, "Yes." Jason's jaw tightened. "Who?" The name hovered on my tongue, poisonous and sharp. I thought of Derek's smirk, his hands, his whispered promises of revenge. I thought of Jason's face if he knew it was the man he despised most in the world. For a moment, I almost stayed silent. But then I let the poison spill. "Derek." Jason's glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. He stared at me, his face pale, eyes burning with disbelief. "You," his voice cracked. "You slept with Derek?" I lifted my chin, tears stinging my eyes. "I kissed him first. And then more. I did it because of you, Jason. Because you betrayed me. Because you made me feel worthless. I wanted you to break the way I broke." His chest rose and fell violently, his fists clenching at his sides. "You went to him? Of all people, you chose him?" The rage in his voice shook me, but I did not back down. "Yes. Your enemy. The one who hates you. I wanted you to know what it feels like to be torn apart." Jason stormed across the room, his face inches from mine. His voice dropped into a growl. "Do you have any idea what you have done?" I swallowed hard, my body trembling. "I know exactly what I did." His hand slammed against the wall beside my head, making me flinch. For a terrifying second, I thought he would hit me. But instead, he pulled back, pacing the room like a caged animal. "You destroyed us," he muttered. "You destroyed everything." "No, Jason," I snapped through my tears. "You destroyed us when you lied to me. When you touched her while I sat at home believing in you. Do not act like I am the only one who sinned here." His eyes glistened with something I could not read: pain, fury, betrayal. At least I did not hand myself to my enemy. The words pierced me. My body shook, torn between guilt and defiance. The days that followed blurred into chaos. Jason barely spoke to me, moving through the house like a ghost. Sometimes I caught him staring at me with raw hatred, other times with hollow despair. I knew he was replaying my confession over and over. Derek, on the other hand, was relentless. He called, texted, demanded more. One night, I met him again, desperate to drown my guilt in his arms. But even as his lips pressed against mine, something inside me cracked. His touch no longer felt like power, it felt like chains. "You wanted to ruin him," Derek whispered against my skin. "Now you have." "Why stop now?" "Because I was already ruined too." That was the truth I could no longer deny. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Jason confronted me in the kitchen, his eyes hollow, his voice deadly calm. "I spoke to Derek." The words froze me in place. "You what?" His lips curled in disgust. He could not wait to brag. He told me everything. Every detail. My stomach turned to ice. Derek had promised secrecy, but of course, this was what he wanted all along: Jason's destruction, no matter the cost. Jason's hands trembled as he pointed at me. "Do you understand now? You were never his revenge. You were just his weapon. And you handed yourself over like a gift. Tears spilled down my cheeks, but I could not speak. He was right. Jason's voice cracked as he whispered, "I do not even recognize you anymore, Amanda." Then he grabbed his keys and walked out the door. I never saw him again. The silence of the house swallowed me whole. I stared at the broken pieces of glass still on the kitchen floor, pieces I had never cleaned up, as if I knew they mirrored the shards of my life. Jason was gone. Derek had used me. And I was left alone with the ruins of my choices. I kissed his enemy just to watch him break. And he did. But so did I. If this story shook you the way it shook me to write it, share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Amanda was justified in her revenge, or did she go too far? Remember to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves raw, intense narratives of love, betrayal, and revenge.